Hi class. Last time we talked about two of the five major senses of the body, smell and taste. Well, today we're going to continue our conversation about the senses of the body, and we're going to move on to the sensation of touch. All right? So, touch is a sense that enables us to feel sensations such as pressure, pain, movement, and temperature. Now, through the skin, we experience a wide range of contacts and sensations, from the warmth that we feel when a cat rubs against our legs, or to the cold that we feel whenever we hold an ice cube in our hands, right, and it melts. Now, this experience of touch happens because of the interaction between the skin and the nervous system. Receptor cells, we've talked about that before with smell and taste. Receptor cells in the nerves in the skin pick up sensations and then carry these sensations to the brain for interpretation. The brain interprets the sensations as varying degrees of pressure, pain, movement, and temperature, and many combinations thereof. The experience humans think of as touch. That's basically what it is. These receptor cells are sending information about how much pressure something's giving off, how hot it is, how cold it is, if something is causing us pain. All of those sensations are being sent to our brain, and that's how the sense of touch works. So I'm going to show you a detailed look at the structure of our skin and how all the various parts function in it. Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture. Now, the words on the picture are backwards because of the way that my camera is here. So don't read the words because you'll get confused, but I'll point these out to you. Okay, it's the picture I want you to get, all right? So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up here, and this here is our skin. All right, so the skin, by the way, is the largest organ in the human body, weighs about 10 pounds in an average adult. If the skin is stretched out, this same skin would cover about 22 square feet. That's pretty cool. So we have two main layers here, the epidermis and the dermis. Now, the epidermis is this top layer here, and the dermis is going to be this, all this around here. That's considered the dermis. This is the epidermis, all right? The skin's outer visible, stretchy, and protective layer is called the epidermis. Most of the epidermis is actually a dead layer of skin cells composed of keratin, which is a tough material made of protein. The outermost layer of the epidermis is constantly being replaced by new cells that rise up from the invisible layer of skin below the epidermis called the dermis right here. So new skin cells are rising up and replacing these dead skin layers right here, rising up from the dermis. The dermis is considered to be the living layer of skin that contains many components, including, and this is where we're going to point some of these components out, all right? So this right here, where is it? Here it is. This little squiggly line here is the sweat glands, and they secrete, we all know what sweat is, right? They secrete a salty fluid on the skin called sweat that evaporates through small openings in the skin called pores. And what it does is, sweat is there to regulate the body pressure. The body's temperature through respiration. All right, here's something else here, another gland. Let's go to this gland right here. That's called the sebaceous gland. And that secretes an oily lubricating substance on the skin called sebum. And all that does for you really is it keeps your hair smooth and it keeps your skin smooth, keeps both pretty healthy, and it allows your skin to be waterproof, okay? All right, so I'm going to put this down for a second, and we're going to talk about our next one, which is going to be hair follicles. So every time something comes, every time you have a hair here, you also have a hair follicle. And the hair follicle are sacs that contain the roots of the hairs and that cover most of the body. Now, do you see these little red dots here? Red dot, red dot, red dot. Those are blood vessels, and they just nourish the dermis. Now, we talked about nerves earlier. You'll see this little tree-like thing up here. This is the nerve. Here are the nerve endings that go right up here through the right to the epidermis, where it is here. Now, those are the ends of the nerves in the body through which sensations are picked up by way of receptor cells, also known as receptors. We'll call them receptors here. Now, the receptors are millions of small structures right up here in the nerve endings, millions of them, that detect such touch sensations and send messages about them to the brain. Okay, so the main thing about the nerve and the nerve endings is that they house all of these receptors, and whenever they feel something hot or cold, something that's got a lot of pressure or pain, they send those straight up to the brain. Okay, so that is how you can tell whenever something feels hot or whether something's painful. All right, now let's talk about our next deal here. We're going to put that away for a moment. We're going to talk about these receptors a little bit more. There are many different types of receptors in the skin responsible for picking up the different kinds of touch sensations that we just talked about: light or heavy pressure, painful, things like that. Here they are. The first one is called the Pacinian corpuscles, found in the joints, palms, and soles of the feet. Now, if you think about it, your palms and your soles of the feet is pretty hard skin, right? Well, these are receptors that respond to heavy pressure, okay? These oval-shaped receptors, actually, let me just show you this again. These are on this picture. It's this right here, this oval-shaped receptor here. Now that is, let me put my note here. They're larger than the other touch receptors, and they've got layers, sort of like an onion. They compress with pressure, then bounce back again. And we can see where they are at the bottom. And there's another one here. If you see at the very top here, these three little dots, maybe we'll see it, three little dots here at the end of the nerve endings. Now those are a different type of receptor. They're called the Meissner's corpuscles. And those are found in the lips, fingertips, face, tongue, and genitals. And they're receptors that respond to light pressure, okay? Yeah, so if you, if something hits your lip, it hurts a lot more than, say, if it were to hit the bottom of your feet, okay? Because these have very light pressure. Very light pressure will trigger these receptors. And as you can see, they're just below the epidermis here at the top. So that's where those are. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is a little activity that you can do at home, all right? So we were talking about how these receptors send messages to the brain about what you're feeling or what is impacting you. You're going to get a chance to do that without being able to see an object. All right. So this activity is something that you do at home. You're not going to need to turn anything in for it, but it's an activity that you can see this firsthand. So get somebody, whether it be a parent, a guardian, or just a friend, to get a little paper bag, like a brown paper bag, something you cannot see through, and you're going to find at least they are going to find at least 3 items through the house, all right, through your house or something outside, very small items that have odd or interesting shapes and textures, and that are made from a variety of materials, okay? So make sure that they're not objects that are harmful. Make sure that they're not toxic or anything like that. But just think of things that maybe feel different from each other, right? You don't want to get 3 of the same feeling type stuff. If you get something that's hard, something that's soft, something that's squishy, something that is cold or warm or anything like that. So you're going to put 1 item in the bag. They are going to put 1 item in the bag. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand in that bag and feel that item, okay? And without being able to see that item, don't look at it, obviously, because that's going to ruin the activity. But without seeing that item, you are relying on your touch receptors to tell your brain what you're feeling and what this object is, okay? So furthermore, as you're doing that, say what you feel. Is it warm? Is it squishy? Is it hard? Is it soft? Some other ones might be, let's see here. just, I mean, really, I don't know, just anything that you have at your house that might work really well for that, feel free to do that. Is it fuzzy? Is it cold? Is it smooth? And as you're doing that, if you want to throw an art component into it, you can actually draw a picture of what you think you have. Okay, so maybe get out a piece of paper with it and draw that item. See if you get it right. Okay, now some of the items you may know what they are, some you're maybe not sure, but draw that item as you're feeling it, and then you can take it out and see if you got it right, see if it's the right item. Okay, now that is something that I want you to pick out at least three items, and one at a time. You're going to be able to put your hand in that bag that you can't see, and you're going to have to tell that person what you're holding and draw a picture of it, okay? Without relying on your sight, that's how you're going to find out how your touch receptors work, okay? So after that, I think what we'll end off with this. The sense of touch really occurs, not because we can see something, and we touch it, that helps, but really what it's relying on is those receptors. So your receptors are giving information to your brain, okay? The taste and smell also use these receptors, as we learned last time, except those receptors are on your tongue for taste, and they are like right at the end of your nose for smell. All right, so these receptors we're still talking about receptors as we're going through our 5 senses, all right? A couple of things. Did you know, just to end off our session here, the thickest, toughest skin on the human body is the soles of the feet, okay? That's going to be your toughest section of your skin. Touch sensors are most plentiful in the lips and fingertips, all right? So your fingertips and your lips are going to have the most touch sensors in them. That's why they're very sensitive. Louis Braille, who lived in 1809 to 1852, a blind French musician and teacher of the blind, developed a system of reading and writing by touch called the Braille system. B-R-A-I-L-L-E, Braille system. I'm sure you're familiar with the Braille system. But Braille has its own alphabet, which consists of raised dots on paper. Raised dots on paper, and to read Braille, a blind person gently touches the patterns of dots with the fingertips. So that's how you would. That's how if you were blind, you would be able to read by touch, right? So then you would really know the power of those touch receptors to your brain. That's all I've got for today. Like I said, do that activity. I'm going to put some terms on your YouTube channel right under this video so that you can see some of the terms we talked about today. But we're going to end that off on touch, and we will pick up tomorrow with a different one. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.